All right, boys, we got 1 hour to grind. And then someone else is going to be in this host chair tomorrow.
Oh, boys.
Do you know who is hosting tomorrow? I have no idea.
I think it's Korolnik, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
AK.
Did you see this tweet that just came through on our OverDrive 1050? No. ODog hosting at OverDrive 1050 is like Tiger winning another major.
Wow.
I think that's a ridiculous comment. Chesko Corrado, by the way, Jamie McLennan, and myself, Jeff O'Neill, OverDrive. We are grinding through the last hour. And I mentioned to you guys that there has been down south of the border, the president has decided on a change today. And I found it very interesting, and I don't like getting political on this platform, but I had to bring this one up. He has decided that he's getting rid of all paper straws.
Yes. Executive order.
Dude, this guy's going plastic straws. And I read that, and I'm like, is this guy a lunatic, or is he bang on with that one? Because who wants a smoothie with a wooden straw? The whole experience is ruined. Or you get dinner, and it's we've all ordered food at work, and you have a wooden fork and spoon. Oh. Whole experience is gone.
Terrible. Yeah. No, the chicken Caesar salad that we order from time to time with that wooden spoon is not a pleasant experience. But how about that? Like, you're like, of all the things that you got to get to, you got to get to the plastic straw. I think you're listening to the people. I think that's what you're doing at that point.
I guarantee
you,
he's not listening to anyone. He's just himself. For his whole life, he's like, I hate wooden straws. And if I ever, it's like a guy winning a contest. He's like, if I ever become president, I'm making it mandatory plastic straws only, and that's what he's done.
I saw that. It was funny. I mean, and he had a few comments with it. He's like, you put hot water, but it was paper straws. You put them in hot water, they melt and all that. It was pretty funny, but you're right. At the end of the day, I'm not complaining about it. I have no problem with it. I know, everyone's climate change. I get that. But he's like, even he made a comment. He's like, the whales aren't choking on that. He's like, they eat everything. I'm like, oh, my God, this guy's on fire.
You know what happened, hey? This guy's been on the course so many times where, like, he's ordered a Diet Coke and it came with the paper straw, and it just he just had enough. He's like, this is one of the first things I'm going to do when I get back in office. Yeah. That's exactly. It went down on the course, guaranteed.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of big deals do go down on the course. Do you guys have chats? I mean, you think about it. A lot of business people will go golfing and they'll get a deal hammered out in 18 holes. So that's
Jamie,
how it rolls, right?
This is a classic conversation that happens when you get home from golf. You'll play with, like, Jeff and I will play together, or I'll play with a buddy. And I'll come home and my wife goes, well, how's Jeff? And I'll say, yeah, I think pretty good. What, you didn't ask him how he was? I'm like, no. Like, what'd you guys talk about? Yeah, we talked about golf for 4 hours. Like, yeah, that's basically what we talked about. How's his family? Didn't come up. I don't know. I would assume pretty good, or he would have said something about it. Like that. It's crazy how little you could talk about.
They can't fathom that we would spend 4 hours with somebody and not discuss all of those things. Because when they get together, it's a full blab session, and it's crazy. Anyway, north of the border, we've got the Four Nations face-off going on in Montreal. How big of vacations do you think the guys are taking that are not participating in this?
Pretty big.
Like, do you think it's like a 10-day absolutely floor it, or is it 5 days and then get back on a bike and get back in a gym?
I think it's a week. I think guys are getting a week off, and I don't know. I was in Phoenix the other night, and I saw an NHL player at the bar I was at. He walked in with a hoodie, and it was, we recognized him right away. I'm like, oh, that looks like that guy. And we were chatting. We didn't go say hi to him, but he looked to be enjoying himself. Nothing wrong with that. But to me, I think that you take a week off, but there are guys that are concerned. Oh, we've talked about this before. If there is a guy that looks at a cheeseburger and puts weight on, they are terrified on this 10-day break, because if you come back 10 pounds heavy, because there might be somebody in the league that comes back with a 10 or 12 pound difference, and you're going to have to put 10 grand in an envelope and hand that to your trainer and say, write down a number because I'm not stepping on that scale.
You know what though, man? Guys get paid so much money now. Like how can you justify making $5-6 million and then coming back 10 pounds heavier and you're a mess?
Because
like,
there are fat pigs in the league still. I think there is. Like there's guys that
have a little responsibility.
Guys love booze and food, man. Trust me, it can be done.
Oh,
10
I
pounds.
know.
You could just have a normal time, just being a normal person having a good time, and put on a 10-pack. The next guy, the guy that we got on the line, would never put on a 10-pack because he's
ripped
still
to shreds
chiseled.
still. I know.
He's tanned. He's got the hair. He's got everything. Let's bring him in here. Tyson Nash, the host of the Nash Cast. Nasher, how you doing, pal?
I am doing fantastic, boys. Little rough, I got to admit. The waste management opened. It did me in. I think I need a liver transplant here. Noodles took me to the dark side, so I'm trying to recover a little bit. But thanks for having me on, guys.
I love how I get blamed for that. I was on the show yesterday. I had vodka voice, we called it, but
what on earth? Aren't you guys too old for that garbage? Like, you're 50 years old.
Never know.
Yeah, we don't recover quite like we used to. I can tell you that. But I don't think anyone had more fun than we did at that tournament. We didn't see one shot. I didn't see one shot, but I saw
different kind of shot.
Nasher, what were your vacations like? With all due respect, I don't think you played on any Olympic teams or anything like that back in the day. What were your trips like? Did you just say, and I know you got a family, did you just say, I'm going to take a couple days and then get back to business, or how did you treat it?
You know what? That's a safe bet. O-Dog. I always had the trips planned at training camp. I mean, we were like, all right, where are we going now, boys? And I don't know. I used to go with a couple couples, like Daryl Sador. I don't know how Mike Modano always ended up with us, but he was on a few of our trips, and we'd always go to Cabo. Cabo's my favorite place in the world. Just the food, the booze, the service, the weather. And obviously some golf, but that was kind of my place of choice, and it was always kind of easy to get to, right? Especially being in Phoenix, it's like an hour and 10-minute flight. You're up and down, you're speedo and poolside, before noon.
Nasher, before you came on, we were talking about guys who go on, trips or whatever, in the All-Star break, Christmas break, and that. And there are a few guys that could put on a few pounds. Did you play over your career with a guy you were concerned about? You were like, if you give that guy 5 days off, he might not make it back here, or he's coming back with an extra 10 pounds to 10 to 12 pounds.
Oh my God! I mean, I hate to rip on these guys, and I got no business ripping on these guys. And it wasn't always.
Don't name names. Just you can talk about the player. Just don't name his name.
There was a legend who retired fairly early. I think we all saw him at the NHLPA meetings one year. I don't think he ever played after that. They had to cut him out with the jaws of life out of his black turtleneck. I think he showed up in. I play with obviously a big Walt, Keith Tkachuk. I think he can toss the food back. There's no question. And my good buddy Holly, those guys could pack them on, but they could get it off in a hurry too, and need be. I think I heard you guys say. I think they were tossing the checkbook around to the trainers, going, "Hey, it ain't this number. Trust me, it's this one. If you want to see a tip at the end of the year." So,
do you think it's a little bit different now, though, Nasher? Like, guys get paid. Not even necessarily about the money, but just about like how competitive things are. You look at the standings.
Frankie,
and the
what
way
about
teams
it just being as simple as they don't live like we used to live back in the day? Like,
that's
they
true
don't.
too.
They don't. They straight out don't.
It is different. Guys bring the video game television set on the road and all that kind of stuff. Like I don't know, how different would guys be handling it this time around compared to when you guys were playing, Nasher?
Yeah, that's dead on. I don't know who said it, but that's absolutely dead on. I mean, we were absolute savages, right? I mean, especially when we flew commercial. I mean, you're staying over after every. I only had a couple years of commercial flights, middle rows. But, I mean, after every game, you're getting beat up. You got a black eye. You're going right out to the rocks. You're going right out to the bars. Nice steak dinner. I mean, it can pile on quick, right? These kids now, and it has to be that way, just because I think just the internal pressure also, right? I mean, and the money they make for sure, but these kids and the cameras now, the phones just kill these guys. I think it's just the worst thing for the game because I still feel like the best teams and the teams that win every year are the tightest teams, right? I remember when St. Louis, when they won a few years back. I mean, you look at Florida. I mean, all of it. Those teams are the tightest groups because they stick together. I mean, I worked with Gretz as our head coach and an owner for a long time, and Gretz, and you knew why the Edmonton Oilers won for so long. Obviously, they have a pretty damn good team, but I mean, it was mandatory. As our coach, he was like, all right, everybody, you throw your bag in the room and you come down for one drink. One drink and you can leave after. And he would pay for everything, but it was story time with Wayne Gretzky. And he would sit there and tell stories in the hotel bar, and it was nothing crazy. It was just team bonding and building, camaraderie. And I was just a broadcaster, but we were invited and we got to be a part of it. And boy, did we ever feel like, we wanted to do a better job at our job, right? We wanted to go the extra mile because, the coach loved us. And I think that's just a testament to why the Oilers and everywhere Wayne Gretzky, and I'm sure Mark Messier had the same thing, why it always worked, because they were great leaders.
Nasher, I wanted to ask you, obviously everybody knows that the Coyotes moved to Utah. Like, do you think of that market out in Arizona and Phoenix? Like, do you think the NHL is a slam dunk to return there? Because you see it all the time in sports. Teams leave and then they show up again. Do you think that happens in Arizona?
If it's going to happen anywhere in the world, it's going to happen here. I mean, you guys know. Noodles, you were just here. I mean, it's honestly the best city in America. It legitimately is. The sun shines. They have just never, ever had a rink in the right place, right? And until that happens, no, it's not going to come back here. But my feeling is right now, and the rumors around here, that they're trying to put something together. I know the mayor is pushing it big time. He's embarrassed that we lost the team in Arizona. I think everybody should be embarrassed that we lost the team in Arizona. So it will be back eventually. When that happens, 4 or 5 years, I would imagine will be the earliest. But I mean, every player in the world, you guys, comes down here for Olympic break, All-Star break. I mean, it's here or Cabo, basically, and you can see why. But you just need a facility, and you need an ownership group like they have in Utah now that would make this work here.
So, Nasher, the Four Nations face-off starts tomorrow. You look at a lot of these countries, they're just loaded up with talent, especially the Team USA, Team Canada. You watched Auston Matthews pretty much grow up, correct? I mean, he was around you and around the Phoenix area for years and had a buzz. What do you make of the tournament? What do you make of a guy like Matthews being the captain of it and all of it?
Well, yeah, this kid is certainly something special. I used to train with him back in the day. I think you had a picture of that once, still making fun of me and my swim shorts. I got to make sure I put the sock in the front next time, not in the back. But we used to train together a little bit, and this guy is just an absolute savage. I mean, at 17 years old, he's clean and jerking 225. For 8 reps. I mean, I was an old man at the time, and I couldn't even. I'd look at that weight and get hurt. But this guy was a savage, and it's just carried over. He's turned into a man. Just watching him develop, he's an unreal kid, unreal human. You guys know that very well, being in Toronto. But just the time he takes around the communities here, he still spends his summers in Arizona. Always skating over at the ice tent, which is about 5 minutes away from me. And lots of pressure on the guy, right? I mean, there's going to be a ton of pressure because Team USA, it kills me to say it, but looking at the rosters, I mean, you would think that they're probably the favorite to win this deal, right? And they're stacked. I love their decor. My goodness, I think it's by far the best in the tournament. And they got the best goaltender on the planet right now in Connor Hellebuyck. So, I am Canadian, so I'll be cheering for the boys. Their forwards, probably by far the best forward group of the bunch, but, man, their goaltending certainly scares me.
What do you think it's going to be like for teams to have to play against not one, but 2 Tkachuks? You have Matthew coming over the boards, and then potentially the next shift, Brady's coming over the boards. And so if you just got ran and you're stuck on the ice, now Brady's going to run you over. They're going to be in your face. I don't know. What does that dynamic do for the American team?
You know what? That's a great point, because that was the one intangible for me that I think is really going to be a difference maker. You look at Florida, right? You look at their team when they won the Cup. I mean, Sam Bennett, Tkachuk, they have so much grit, which you have to have, right? You got to have those stay-at-home, grinding, heavy defensemen, right? You can't have a whole team of Quinn Hugheses. I mean, you just can't. But I think Team USA, they scare me. Those two guys in particular. I watched a few of Matthews, Tkachuk's interviews today, and man, is he fired up. I mean, he's got that look in his eye already that I think we all saw in the playoffs when they won the Cup. So, it wouldn't be fun to play against Matthew or Brady. They're certainly, they got big shoes to fill. They want to, obviously it runs very deep in their family with their dad and all the silver medals he won over the years. So I don't know how we categorize this, but I always bust everyone's chops down here in Arizona, but just in the U.S. in general. I'm like, I am so sick of the miracle. Can you guys finally have a sequel? Like, it's been 43 years since you won? My God, I can't take it anymore. What a story, but let's hopefully win again. So I don't know if this counts in that. I know it's not an Olympic gold medal, but...
Hey, stop chirping the miracle. They had Mike Urizioni, a buddy of mine. They had a meeting with the team yesterday. Those guys were not even born yet.
Jim Craig and Mikey Ruggioni, those guys. You're right. What is that, 25 years ago or more? No, it's more. 45 years.
45.
45 years, 1980. Yeah.
Noodles has got his shoes off right now. He's trying to count.
Now, Dasher,
it's been too long.
It has been too long. Nasher, so you mentioned Wayne Gretzky, and you have a long history with Wayne. You're good friends with him. Take us back to him coaching you in Phoenix. I mean, this is the greatest hockey player of all time, and he becomes a head coach, and he's looking down the bench, and he's got to look at you and go, I need you to go out. What do you think was going through Gretzky's mind, and how was it? What was it like playing for the greatest player of all time?
Well, first of all, I got to tell you, it was draft day. I was in Kelowna, and I was cleaning out one of my rental houses, and I get a phone call, and it's this guy on the phone going, "Hey, this is Wayne Gretzky. We just made a trade for you." And I was like, "Yeah, good one." I thought it was one of my idiot buddies, right, just playing a joke on me. He's like, "No, serious." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And it sounded like my buddy Bob, so I hung up on him. He calls me back. He goes, Tyson, seriously, we just made a trade for you. And I'm like, well, Larry Plow hasn't called me, so I don't even know if this is real or not. Anyway, we got talking, and sure enough, it ended up being Gretz. I was like, holy cow, I can't believe this. Like, I grew up with Wayne Gretzky wallpaper and bed sheets, and now this guy's on the horn telling me how excited he is to have me on his team. Well, the excitement didn't last all that long, I can tell you, because I don't think he ever really understood what I did. What I did as a player, what my job was. I got beat up a lot that year. He was like, you haven't won a fight. You haven't scored a goal. What is it exactly that you do again? And I'm like, I draw penalties. He goes, we have the worst power play in the league. Stop drawing penalties. You look
well,
like
it must
idiot.
be difficult for anybody that considers themselves to make or attempt an offensive play being scrutinized by Wayne Gretzky. It must be just horrifying, Nasher.
Yeah, and you know what? It was when you watched him work. I mean, he wanted to be great at it. It just, I think to be super fair with Gretz, it's a full-time job being Wayne Gretzky. Like, everywhere this guy goes, there's so much demanded from him. And he had that autograph company, and he just had so much stuff going on that I don't know how you could focus the way you need to focus as a head coach, right? And then to understand it on our level, which is way below his, just it had to have been really frustrating. But I'll tell you what, one of the best human beings you will ever meet. And that's the coolest thing about Gretz and any star or hero that you meet, right? When they're even better than you imagined, that's what makes it super, super cool. And that's always been Gretz to me.
Nasher, when the NHL fires up again, have you put your eyes on a team out west or anywhere, whether it be in person or on the tube, that you think, maybe these guys get it done this year, whether it's Florida again or Colorado in the West? Do you have any thoughts on who could do some damage?
Well, I always got thoughts. It always gets me in trouble. I got a big mouth too. So I think just, when you look at Winnipeg, I mean, anyone who has the best goalie on the planet, aren't they always dangerous? I mean,
yeah.
And then that.
Well, they had him last year
right?
too, and they didn't get by the first round.
I know, but they're humming right now. There's something special going on there. I think we've all seen it all year. Edmonton, I think, has a really good opportunity. I feel like you got to lose bad, right? Which they obviously did last year. It's got to hurt. It's got to sting in order to win. I think that's how it has to play out. And then Florida, I don't know. They just have it, right? They're a scary team. Once you know and learn how to win, and once you have success, I think it becomes that much easier for guys like Tkachuk and Barkov, who is just I had no clue that guy was as good as he was. I mean, I just didn't watch Florida play enough, but man, was he an absolute beast.
Nasher, you bring up Winnipeg, and they've been so good, such a great story. It's still Connor Hellebuyck that plays so much, in comparison to the other goaltenders around the league, and it's, maybe there's a thought that at some point they try and scale things back, because once he gets to the playoffs, it's like the guy that was in the regular season, he doesn't necessarily steal one for you. He hasn't in a long time, right? Is that any kind of concern with the Jets to peel back the workload for Hellebuyck a little bit, so when it comes April, it's like this guy's ready and he's fresh and he can steal one for you?
Well, this is interesting because you got Noodles on the show, and I'm sure you guys talk about this a lot, but it is my number one pet peeve and frustration with coaches and goalie coaches. I'm like, can you imagine telling Patrick Waugh and Martin Brodeur and Dominic Hasek and Curtis Joseph, who I played with, oh, you know what, you had a shutout tonight, you're not playing tomorrow because you're going to be tired. I would be like, I can't even imagine what those guys would do. I mean, being a goaltender, I got to think there's so much momentum and rhythm involved as well, just like a player. Imagine, O-Dog, you have a 3-point night, and they're like, oh, we're going to, monitor your workload. We're going to sit you out tonight. You'd be like, the hell you are. This is when I get my cookies, right? I mean, goalies are no different. I don't get it. I don't know how they can't play 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row. I think you want to get into that rhythm. Obviously, you don't want to be exhausted by the time playoffs come, so you got to manage maybe your practice time rather than your game time. I mean, I don't get it. These goalies are a different breed. We know that. You guys know that all too well with Noodles there, but I don't know what they're gonna do, to be honest. But it drives me crazy.
I agree. I mean, it is a different position, but we all and we talk about it on our show all the time. There's gut feeling, and then there's the analytics. And to me, sometimes you got to throw it out the window and just go. You got to go with your gut, or you got to go with the player and what the player wants too. And a lot of times there are players that are gamers that just say, I need to play, I need to be in there, I need to be a difference maker. And then you get into sports science, and they're saying, okay, you're only going to be at 90% tomorrow because of your sleep patterns and everything like that. That stuff is frustrating. I get over a season, but if you're in a short tournament or if you're in a groove, to me, you want to be chomping right at the bit. So, Nash, we got I want to get two things, or one question and then one comment on the way out. But we talked about it, on our show. It's weird. You've never been on the show. He told me that over the weekend. Oh, have we not had this guy on our show ever? I swear it. Nasher's been on our show.
Yes, several times.
See? There you go, Nasher.
Long time ago, maybe. No, it's been a while.
Dude, stop drinking the vodka. We've had you on at least 3 or 4 times. How much booze did you drink on the weekend?
Hey, I know you lost a lot of weight, but you keep telling lies like that. Your nose is going to look like mine too. So be careful.
There's not enough lies in the world to grow my nose as big as yours, and I know I'm telling the truth.
Well, that's why I had a nose full of nickels for a contract.
And you made $2 million a year. So, Nasher, we talk about it all the time. Take us through the call. Take us through the Marian Hossa situation, because we talked about it. Wasn't it? Was it last week we were talking about?
We were talking about it last week.
Yeah.
How much did people in Chicago hate you after you made that call?
Oh, and honestly, so you guys got to let me off the hook a little bit. This is when the rules, really kind of changed, almost overnight, right? Yeah. So, I play a certain way. I lived for those hits, especially in the playoffs, right? I mean, you're frothing at the mouth to run over the Chicago Blackhawks' best player with an open ice hit because he's got his head up his butt and he's looking down at the puck. You deserve to get crushed. I mean, the onus has got to be somewhat on Hossa in this play. But again, it's Rafi Torres, right? So I should have took notice. I didn't. But I still stand behind my call that it wasn't a dirty hit. I don't think he jumped. I think maybe if there's anything, he was a little bit late. But I basically said, oh, my God, that's one of the best, one of the cleanest hits I've ever seen. And then all of a sudden, Hossa doesn't get up, and he's literally not breathing. And then all of a sudden, there's like a fog. His mask fogs up, and now he's breathing again, and they're carrying him off in a stretcher. And I'm like, oh, my God. I guess I should have pulled back on that comment a little bit. So needless to say, I had Chicago fans calling the Ritz-Carlton. I had about 25 messages on my phone. The red light was beeping like crazy. And the messages, you guys, I had like Twitter stuff going crazy. Like, I hope you get cancer and die. I hope, I'm going to find you on Michigan Avenue and run you over, you piece of garbage. Like, they're passionate fans there, so I totally respect that. But it was a little aggressive on both sides, my side and obviously the fans.
Yeah, I actually, when you watched the hit, Nasher, it seemed like you made the right call. Back in our day, it looked like the right body check. We got to fly, pal. Really appreciate you taking time after a weekend with Noodles for doing this, buddy. We'll do it again soon.
All right, boys. Yeah, great job. First time hosting. Well done, O-Dog.
Yeah, it's not that hard to say hi and bye to people, man. It's really not. Thanks, Nasher. We'll talk again, pal.
All right, guys. Take care, boys.
That guy's a beauty, man. You can just tell by his voice that he would be a great teammate, great storyteller, great drinking buddy.
He's ruthless. All he does is chirp. All he did the whole weekend is give it to Struddy and Iginla the whole weekend. Just chirp them. And apparently, like Struddy and Iginla, or Struddy and Nasher beat Iginla and his best friend Bill in golf 2 rounds. And
boy.
It got ugly. Like they were arguing and yelling. It was just, anyways, good times, good times. He's a beauty.
Great guest. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll get Michael Russo, who's following the USA team at the Four Nations Face-Off. This is Overdrive on TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, boys. We're coming down the home stretch. Overdrive, Chesko Corrado, Jamie Noodles McLennan, myself, Jeff O'Neill, and you talk about a tease. I got a surprise guest for you guys in about 20 minutes.
Oh, nice.
After we get into the Four Nations, and we dive in with Michael Russo here in a second, but there's a surprise guest coming who might blow your socks off, okay?
Love it.
Okay.
Let's head down to Montreal and bring in Michael Russo. How you doing, Michael?
Good. I thought I was a surprise guest for half a second.
No.
Well, you are. You're a great guest. We're fired up to have you from
We've
the
been
Athletic.
pumping you up, though.
Yeah, we've been pumping your tires for 2 hours, man.
It's funny enough, I sat next to CJ yesterday as he was on with you guys, so it's funny you guys called me today.
Oh, yeah? How is the media contingent down there? Are people fired up, or are they just grinding away, submitting pieces?
Shocking enough, CJ was still at the rink when I just left there, and we're missing the media reception. It started at 6, and sports writers don't like to miss free food and booze, so I'll be heading over there.
Is that why they enjoy like a stiff? Is that why they enjoy a stiff scotch? Is because like the timeline is tight and it's a bunch of work and your brain's kind of fried, so it's like booze time?
Pretty much. That's been my life for 30 years. You don't get to look like me for no reason. And funny enough, I mean, CJ was doing, we were in the concierge lounge yesterday when he was doing the interview with you, which was also free booze and free food. So we were very on brand.
So, Michael, tell us about the vibe around the USA team. I mean, obviously they're big, they're strong, they're very talented, and a lot's been made of their goaltending, having the best goalie in the game. So just what do you think their overall vibe is heading into this Four Nations face-off?
Yeah, I think to me it's exciting. I'll be honest. As much as I'm honored to cover the tournament, I was, a week ago, I was like, what's this going to be like? It's going to be like a glorified All-Star weekend or what. But then watching these practices the last couple of days and how intense it is, I mean, these guys are here to win it. And when just looking at Team Canada, when you look at their power play unit and you see guys like, Crosby and McKinnon and McCarr and McDavid all in the same unit, holy moly, it's pretty exciting. And I think that's what the way the U.S. feels right now. They feel like they're the deepest team in the tournament. We'll see once they obviously suit up. They have an extra day to prepare than Canada. They've got incredible goaltending, and because of that, in a short tournament, there might not be much wiggle room for Hellebuyck. I mean, how long can you wait if all of a sudden he does struggle out of the gate, which I'd be a little shocked at, but we'll see. But the vibes are good. The practices have been shockingly intense. Yeah. Even Canada's practice today, Brad Marchand's running over guys. It's been pretty fun the first couple days, and we'll see how the tournament starts tomorrow.
It seemed like the USA has put like an emphasis on they want big and strong out there. I know they got some real talented players, but with some smaller guys passed over, they said we're going big and strong and fast, and we're going to be tough to beat. Do you not get that sense?
Yeah, and I covered Bill Guerin as my day job covering the Minnesota Wild, and that is his MO. I mean, you remember those lines that he was on in all his USA tournaments, playing with guys like Keith Tkachuk, and then I remember Mike Madonna used to call them Con and Crete, right? So Madonna was always in the middle of concrete, essentially, with Guerin and Tkachuk, and that's the way that he's built this team and the way that he wants them to play. Obviously there were some guys that I think that he left off that some people were very surprised on. The Clayton Kellers, the Cole Caulfields, but it's for that very reason that you just said, and they want role players that are going to accept roles. There's a lot of guys that are go-to guys on their NHL teams, the Dylan Larkins of the world, that are playing fourth line wing here, and at least to start the tournament. So. That's just the way you get in a best-on-best tournament, and I do think that they want them to play hard and fast.
How big of a loss is it going to be for Quinn Hughes not on the back end?
Yeah, I think it's a massive loss. To me, it's just like losing Heiskanen for Finland. And you see it. Quinn was going to quarterback their number one power play. He was obviously going to be on the ice in all key situations, and to me, he is. Along with McCarr, one of the two best defensemen in the game right now, and very easily could be a North candidate again this year. And so I think it's a massive loss. I was a little surprised just the way that Bill Guerin and Mike Sullivan and John Hines have been talking up Zach Werenski all season long, especially the last couple of months, that he actually wasn't on power play one at today's practice, that they are going with Adam Fox, who's had a little bit of a down year. I think he's been playing with an injury. But Fox is obviously going to get the initial look there, then Werenski on power play too. But losing Quinn is just such a massive loss. I mean, he's just such a dynamic defenseman. 25 points I think he's up on in leading scoring for the Vancouver Canucks right now. I think Brock Besser is second behind him. And it's a big loss. I know that Jack talked yesterday about how disappointing it is for the family, but the hope is that they'll both be healthy for next year's Olympics.
Was it a slam dunk for Auston Matthews to be the captain of this team? And what's the feeling around Matthews being the leader of this USA group?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's the best American in the world, and so I think that you go with that right from the beginning. They have a lot of captains, a lot of leaders on this team. To me, there really was I heard that Matthew Tkachuk got a couple votes. I'm sure that Bill Guerin, it wouldn't shock me, was one of them just because of his history with Keith. But to me, Austin was just an absolute shoo-in. But they've got just so many great players. I did a huge story on Jack Eichel that's going to run in tomorrow's Athletic. Here's another guy. What he's turned into in Vegas, being one of the top two-way centers in the league, has been pretty impressive. I think he's going to be their top matchup center in this tournament and go head-to-head against the best. But Austin is obviously. Such a tremendous player. I think that nobody would argue that he's the best American player, and just because of the leader that he is with Toronto, it just made all the sense in the world. I mean, he is the face of American hockey, in my opinion.
Michael, before we get you out of here, Hellebuyck always seems to be a little bit chippy. He seems to be confident in his ability, and it seems like this tournament has really got his attention. Can you see a bit of a look in his eye where he's like, I want to show everybody that I truly am the best goalie in the world?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and especially because of the way that last year's playoffs went for him. I think on the big stage, he wants to show that he is the best, not only the best goalie in the world, but specifically on the United States, because there's so much talk of just how good Jake Ottinger or Jeremy Swayman could be if they ever needed him. So I think he's going to want to go in there and shut down every team that he plays. The guy is enormous. I mean, just being around him the last couple of days, it's hilarious. I'd love to see a little Canada-U.S. goalie fight on Saturday night. That'd be something in Montreal. Jordan Binnington would be a game for that. But I do think that Hellebuyck is and Noodles could tell you. I just think that he's just from a elite standpoint, he's just been so impeccable this season, and has put himself in the conversation. Obviously, not just for a second straight Vezina, but even Hart Trophy talk.
Michael, really appreciate you hopping on, giving us the skinny on the USA team. So have fun in the tournament, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Yep, anytime, guys. Take care.
Okay. Michael Russo from The Athletic covers the Minnesota Wild on a daily basis. Guys, I got something special lined up for you, okay? I
love it.
All right.
I don't want to give too much, but, Hazy B's away. And we can do whatever we want, so we're going to take a break, and we're going to do something extremely fun next.
Nice.
Well, I don't want to waste any time because I know you guys are more than fired up.
Yep.
OverDrive, no Hazy B. I'm hosting today, Jeff O'Neill with Jamie McLennan and Chesco Corrado. And I promised a little surprise. I didn't want to get too carried away. But with no Hazy B, we get to do something that we truly, truly love. JP, hit it.
Yes guy, no guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, drivers and passengers, time now for the OverDrive version of Yes Guy, No Guy. Go ahead, sir.
Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Oh, boy. The lawyers are upset. Oh, boy.
Hey, we didn't say it. We got you to say it, pal, and we wanted you to come on and do a quick couple little yes guy, no guys for us. Can you do that for us?
Oh, what a thrill this is. Are you kidding me? This is fantastic. Wow.
Have you been watching the show, Jimmy? What did you think of the show without Hazy B?
Wow, I like Hazy B. He's one of my favorites. But Dog, I always knew you could host. And Frankie, you've hosted before. Noodles, you could do it. Anybody could host, right?
Anyone who's been through the Jim Tatti mentorship program can do it, buddy.
Exactly.
That's right. That's
this
right.
Is the Tatman alumni here. That's what we are, the Tatman alumni.
I'll be sending out an invoice at the end of the show.
We know you will, Jimmy. Do you have any yes guy, no guys for us?
I do. I have one right here. So right off the cuff, yes guy, no guy. The Raptors signing Brandon Ingram for 3 years and $40 million per season. Yes guy, no guy. You wish the Leafs could act that fast.
Well, Jimmy, being a underpaid hockey player, I wish the Leafs paid that much money for somebody for 3 years. But who knows what happens with this? This seems like a slam dunk for Raps, and who knows what happens with it. But it just goes to show you how much more money NBA players make than hockey players. Like William Nylander signed a shocker last year for $92.5. This guy's never put on a Raps jersey, and they just gave him 120 sheets, Jimmy. Yeah, I'm going to say no guy to it. Frankie?
I'm going to say no guy because I don't want to see the Leafs in a situation where we're talking about do they bottom out or they go and make a trade just to keep themselves right in the middle of the pack, because that's what the Raptors' options were. You bottom out for 5 years and you try and build it back up, or do you keep yourself somewhat relevant? I want to see the Leafs near the top, and if that means they don't have to make a move like that, I'm okay with it, Jimmy. So it's a no guy.
Oh. No guy for me. Right around. No guy for me as well. Can't have that money thrown around. I agree. Like Frankie just said exactly what I was going to say. I want to see the Leafs near the top, and we can't have any of this nonsense going on. So it's a hard no guy for me.
Wow.
Jimmy, anything else?
I do have one more. Yes guy, no guy. Based on the 5 players that will be on the ice at all times for Team Canada, goaltending should be a non-issue.
Yes, guy.
Frankie, go ahead.
Yes, guy.
Go ahead.
Right, emphatic yes, guy. Like you're telling me we had the pick of the litter here, the best Canadian players in the world. You want defensive guys, you want offensive guys, you got it. It's the full buffet. So chances are you selected properly to the point that, you can just get average goaltending and it shouldn't bother you. I 100% agree with my good friend Jimmy here.
Yeah, I'm going to go yes guy as well, because I think I said it at the start of the show. The goaltenders just have to be just good. They don't have to make the saves you should, maybe a couple that you shouldn't, but I believe the team in front of them will be able to prop them up. So I think you just have to be a good goaltender to play for this team, and they certainly have good goaltending. So I'm there.
Jimmy, I'm glad we got to do it. I'm a yes guy as well. I think with the players that they can throw onto the ice, I think goaltending, it shouldn't be an issue for these guys.
Well, there we go. We wrapped it up. Do we have more time?
No, we're out of time, pal. You know how important it is to hit the clock, so we're out of here, man.
Ask Noodles about that.
Yeah.
Gotta go. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah. We're going to do that to you, Jimmy. Gotta go. Thanks. Bye. We appreciate you doing this, bud.
See you, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, what time's Leafs Guy on every day?
Noon to
where
1.
can we find it?
On TSN 1050, the iHeart Radio app, and wherever you find a podcast.
All right, boy, Jimmy. Thanks, Jimmy. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Doogie, are you ready for your little, you said you put together a little parlay here.
I have.
Okay, you better be ready. Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sports app. Doogie, what do you have for us this evening?
Boys, I think this is a yes guy. We're going to go with Scotty Barnes.
Not allowed to say it. Not allowed to say it.
Awesome.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, my bad there. So Raptors taking on the Sixers in Philly tonight. Let's go Scotty Barnes, 20-plus points. We'll pair that with the Raptors plus 10.5. I think that's an achievable number. And Joel Embiid is in the lineup tonight against the Raptors. We're going to go Embiid 25-plus points. That parlay totals plus 255 on the FanDuel Sportsbook app.
You think Embiid is healthy again, or what's his deal, Doogie?
It says he's good to go. We saw earlier in the week that he wants to talk another surgery, but the Sixers want to get back in the playoff on here, so he needs to play.
Yeah. If it doesn't hit, pal, it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Bet the NBA live from first basket to final whistle on FanDuel. Please pay responsibly. 19 plus and physically located in Ontario.
So I just want to, after a game, you get onto the bus or you go have dinner with the guys and you kind of just debrief the whole thing like this or that over a couple glasses of wine. I just want to say this was a very good show. I thought we asked great questions. Jeff, I thought you took us in and out of break impeccably. There was some good banter, but we stayed on topic just enough. This was a really spick and spack show here.
It went well. I think, we had fun, a lot of fun. Got some hard-hitting facts out there. To me, you know what? We did the job. Good stuff, O-Dog. Thanks for driving
I think
the bus.
at the end of the day, we always talk about and we goof on Brian and we goof on Duffy. And I know the two of you felt the responsibility. When you've got a stud that hosts a show like that and he leaves, you want to do the show, the proper respect.
Yeah.
And not have an absolute gong show. Because that guy, his head would pop off. So you got to do it properly. And you got to put your best foot forward. But I'm looking forward to tomorrow, guys. 4 Nations. I can't wait to see all the Canadian guys out there together. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome to see Crosby and McKinnon and McDavid. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
I
want to see that power play unit cooking. I want to see McDavid and McKinnon a million miles an hour on that drop pass and just see the underpants cam on whoever's playing D for Sweden at that given moment.
That's what I want to see. I want to see McDavid flying up and down the ice. I want to see McKinnon right after him flying up and down the ice. More than anything, though, I want to see good, intense hockey. That's all I want to see. Thank you guys for today. Doogie, behind the scenes, JP, Joe from the bridge, appreciate everything. We're going to do it all again tomorrow with AK at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.